We have this idea that being highly intelligent makes life a breeze, right? That a powerful mind just has all the answers. But what if that's not the whole story? What if the reality is way, way more complicated? Well, today we're pulling back the curtain on the hidden psychology of a high IQ mind. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt just completely misunderstood? Like you're on a totally different wavelength from everyone else? If you've ever felt like you just don't fit in, the thing is, you're not broken. Your brain might just be running on an operating system that most people never even get to see. Okay, so here's the game plan. First, we're going to smash that big misconception about high IQ. Then we'll dive deep into the active and sometimes chaotic inner world of a highly intelligent mind. After that, we'll look at how that mind deals with the outside world. And finally, we'll connect all the dots and show you why you're wired for deeper thinking. All right, first up, the high IQ misconception. This is the big one. The myth that having a smarter brain automatically means life is just easier. But honestly, that is rarely, if ever, the case. And here's the core conflict. The myth is super simple. More brain power equals fewer problems. But the reality, it's so much more interesting. A highly intelligent mind comes with its own set of very specific, very heavy struggles, and these habits can look completely bizarre to an outsider. So let's dig into that a little more. We're now going inside, into your active inner world, to unpack some of those mental habits that other people might call a little, well, strange. All right, let's kick things off with something that, probably gets you some weird looks. Ever catch yourself having a full-blown conversation with yourself, maybe whispering through your thoughts at the grocery store? Don't worry, it's way more common than you think. See, this isn't random at all. Psychologists have a name for it: verbal reasoning. When you turn those abstract thoughts swirling around in your head into actual words, you're organizing them. You're laying them out so you can solve problems faster. What looks strange is actually your brain's own built-in, high-efficiency processing tool. Okay, sound familiar? How about this one? Is your mind constantly running simulations? Always asking, but what if this happens? Exploring a dozen different outcomes for things that haven't even happened yet. To everyone else, this looks a lot like anxiety, but it's actually a trait called cognitive complexity. Your mind isn't just worrying for the sake of it. It is hardwired to look at every single angle, every tiny detail, and every possible consequence before it makes a move. It's a strategic superpower that is incredibly difficult to just turn off. And this is basically how it works, right? You ask, what if? Then you explore all the different paths, and then you analyze what could happen down each of those paths. This is linked to something called System 2 dominance. Basically, you pause and think instead of just reacting. It makes you an amazing strategist, but it also means your brain is, it's pretty much always on the clock. All right, so that's what's happening inside your head. But how does all of that internal processing affect how you deal with the outer world? With people and patterns and all the messiness of life. This is a really big one. Because your mind is always working, you're constantly spotting things that other people just walk right past. Flaws in a plan, a better way to do something, or these incredible connections between ideas that seem totally unrelated. It's like you can see the invisible bridges connecting everything. And there's actually a name for this incredible ability: associative integration. You're literally taking ideas from completely different fields and merging them into something new, something that's often surprisingly accurate. It's why your advice can be so insightful, but it's also why you might come across as a little intense in a casual conversation. And that intensity, it naturally shapes how you socialize. You might find that you just can't stand surface-level small talk, and that, honestly, you'd rather just be by yourself sometimes. This breaks it down perfectly. For a mind that is constantly searching for depth and meaning, small talk feels like running a marathon with no finish line. It's just mentally draining. But deep, meaningful conversations, those are fulfilling. That's the stuff that actually recharges your batteries. So, when you need that alone time, it's not because you're antisocial. Not at all. Psychology actually calls this a need for cognitive quiet. Your brain needs that mental white space to process everything, to file it all away without the constant overwhelm of noise and social drama. Okay, it's time to bring this all together. In our final section, we're going to connect all of these dots and see how these traits combine to create a personality that is just fundamentally wired for deeper thinking. How about this paradox? Does this sound like you? Maybe your desk looks like a hurricane went through it, but your digital files are organized with surgical precision. Or your car is a mess, but your project plans are works of art. Well, there's a brilliant logic behind this. It's called selective organization. It's not about being messy, it's about efficiency. A high IQ mind knows its mental energy is finite, so it pours that energy into organizing what really matters and kind of just ignores the rest. This also explains the perfectionism. When you can see the perfect way to do something, anything less can feel like a failure. So when you step back and look at all these pieces, the overthinking, the pattern seeking, the need for quiet, what's the big picture? It's this. It's a mind that is constantly analyzing, constantly processing, constantly questioning the world around it. It rarely, if ever, gets to just rest. So let's just run through that one more time. Your brain's unique wiring means you talk to yourself, but that's just verbal reasoning. You're constantly overthinking, but that's your cognitive complexity. You see hidden patterns everywhere, that's associative integration. You need to be alone, but that's for cognitive quiet. And you're messy but organized, that's just smart selective organization. And look, if there is one thing you take away from all of this today, let it be this. If any of this felt familiar, you are not strange. You're not difficult. You are simply wired differently. Your mind operates on a level of depth and complexity that most people just can't see. And understanding that, really understanding that, changes everything. It reframes what you thought were your biggest struggles into your greatest strengths. So the only real question left is the one right here. Your mind is wired differently, so how are you going to use it?